Thank you very much. In a former life as a small business person and now in nearly 20 years in the Congress, I have been watching the creation and the application of these rules and regulations. And I've noted a phenomenon which results in increased regulations, and I'm wondering if you have a solution to this problem. Initially, very rational, simple rules and regulations are enacted. And then when they are applied, some modest deviations from the intended response of the regulated is observed. And the usual response to that is more regulations. We don't want that to happen again, do we? And frequently, these increased regulations pass over the line of the rational and the reasonable, and there appears to be no attempt to do a cost-benefit analysis. Is the benefit we might get from these increased regulations really going to be justified by the economic effects and just the harassment of the poor business trying to succeed in a tough economic environment? How can we get our people to do a rational cost-benefit analysis? The old farmer says, why would you do it if the juice ain't worth the squeezing? Right. For many of these increased regulations, the juice ain't worth the squeezing.
Okay, great. What President Reagan inaugurated in the early 80s was a cost-benefit analysis as a test for regulatory proposals and final rules. President Obama had a very clear embrace of cost-benefit analysis in his executive order this past January. And we are taking cost-benefit analysis extremely seriously. I don't believe you'll see a single rule issued in the last 8 months that fails cost-benefit analysis. And you'll see very few in the last 2.5 years. I think there's only one that clearly fails cost-benefit analysis, and that one was a congressional mandate on safety on trains. And we did the best we could to reduce costs. As noted, you can have a rule that survives cost-benefit analysis, but still the costs are too high. It could have higher net benefits if you scaled the costs back. But basically, the President has given us extremely clear guidance on following cost-benefit analysis, and we are responding to his direction. You may have noticed, this got a lot of attention, the President directed me to issue a return letter on the EPA's draft ozone rule. The bulk of that return letter was emphasizing some very specific points that bore on the rule in particular, but the next to last paragraph emphasized more generally, apart from the ozone rule, the President's directed me to take strong steps to diminish regulatory costs and to make sure that we're really justified going forward. And that commitment to cost-benefit analysis, you will see in every rule we've issued so far. You'll see it in the reconsideration of certain rules. The fiduciary rule, which was a very grave concern to a number of businesses, would expand the definition of fiduciary. It had some strong, well, I think what everyone agrees are some strong, well-motivated arguments in it, but it wasn't really ready yet. And the Department of Labor said, we're going to do a new analysis, analyze the costs and benefits, and see what the really the best proposal would be, and it's not identical to what they originally proposed. The examples I gave of rules that have been taken back are frequently taken back in order to get the analysis of costs and benefits as accurate as possible, and one of the most important parts of the new executive order says agencies aren't supposed to proceed unless there's a reasoned determination that the benefits justify the costs.
How could you have even in the back of your mind this notion that there ought to be a cost-benefit analysis and decide that spilled milk was an oil spill? Is that an anomaly that won't happen again?
Well, that wasn't I'm pleased to say that wasn't a government regulation. That was a statute, and it was an old statutory.
It was our fault. We did that?
No one in this room had anything to do with it.
But we, the Congress, did that.
Yes, that's correct. And it
Oh,
was
my.
it was.
But please help us to keep from doing dumb things, can
And
you?
I
Mr.
think
Chairman,
it was,
thank you very
I don't
much.
think anyone intended to include milk. It was an artifact of the definition.
Well, there is some fat in milk, and that isn't oil, but
You've
you know,
got, you've
that's
got
a
it.
stretch, isn't it?
Exactly.
Thank-
But you gave us
thank
a
you very
chance to
much.
fix it, and we did.